I'm just going to show you the ingredients that we need to make our fancy egg souffle. So we had the chives there, we have a red onion, we've got a red pepper, and we've got some asparagus. I'm looking for a little bit straighter asparagus. You'll see why. And then we have some basil. And then we're going to need at least 6 to 8 eggs. Prepping the veggies right now. I grabbed the asparagus, the straightest ones I could find, so we could just slice them in half. That takes a little bit of time. And then we got the peppers ready. Took all the beautiful leaves off the basil. Cut the onion in half. And we have our beautiful chives that we just trimmed off the ends. Now I'm just going to show you another technique. This actually saves on egg whites, and for this particular recipe we are going to be separating the egg whites from the yolks. So because the shells are very sharp usually when we crack them, and our hands are not, we just want to separate them and gently put them in here. Look at the little baby. So we need 8 eggs, 6 to 8 eggs. I thought, boy, you know what? I have a big 9-inch deep pan. So you kind of just squeeze the bottom of your fingers and you can let that excess white out. So again, it's just a little technique, just so we can keep the yolk intact, and even more importantly for this recipe, we are gonna keep all this beautiful white, and we're gonna beat these whites, and I'll continue and do the rest of this and be back in just a moment. Now for this souffle, we are going to make a simple roux. Roux usually means that you just use some type of fat. In this case, we're using 4 tablespoons of butter and 4 tablespoons of organic flour. All-purpose flour will work just fine. What we want to do is actually cook the flour so it doesn't have that raw flavor. So we're just going to whisk this over medium heat for a couple minutes and then slowly incorporate the milk, which is 1 cup of milk. Okay, you can see where this is starting to heat up, starting to sizzle a little bit. We're going to go for a nice light roux. Now, if you wanted a deeper flavor, I wouldn't suggest it in this recipe, but you know what? You can be creative as you want. This is going to be a very creative recipe. You'll see when we start making all those veggies that we cut up, we start taking them and carving them into tulips and making the chives look like grass, and the basil leaves look like leaves on the tulip. Okay, this to me, now when you start smelling like the butter, like a roasted butter smell, that's where you want to be. And it'll look just like this. Now you want to take some milk, and it's going to be very hot. Don't let it fool you. When you make roux and you're actually cooking that flour with that fat, it does get extremely hot. See all that steam coming up? Okay, I'm just going to finish this off and gradually keep on adding a little bit of milk and stirring until we make a nice slurry. Okay, this only took 1 minute to come together with adding the milk, and look at this beautiful roux. This is just gorgeous. Okay, and I'm just going to turn off the heat and let it go to room temperature, and I am going to whip the egg whites. So I've whipped up the egg whites, and I just want to show you a little secret. We're going to make this a little bit savory. I just went ahead and took, this is a whole nutmeg, and just already grated some in there just to give it a little savory. And we're also going to put just a little bit of cayenne pepper in there. See, just a touch. I'm going to beat this just for a second. There. And now we're going to have just a little more depth of flavor in our awesome souffle. Now we have that cup of shredded cheese. You can put a cup and a half. You can put 2 cups. I'm choosing just to put 1 cup of shredded cheese, whatever cheese you like. I'm going with the Gruyère, which is like a French light cheese. And I'm just going to mix this only with the yolks until it gets a little bit smoother. Okay, we are going to then take our egg yolks with our awesome shredded cheese, and we're just going to put that on top of our roux, which is now room temperature. This is just going to be such a beautiful presentation for Easter. It's really fun with the kids to be creative as well. So I'm just going to mix this up and show you what that looks like. Okay, I have just stirred our cheese and egg yolk mixture into our beautiful roux, and everything, of course, is room temperature. Now we want to take those gorgeous egg whites that have been sitting. Ooh, look at that. And we're just going to gently fold them in because we want this to be fluffy and flavorful and wonderful. Now I'm going to do this in 3 sections, 3 different times. It's going to look a little funny, but you know what? It will come together. You just have to be patient and do nice little folding type of movements. And I'll show you when we're done. Now, after a little bit of incorporating, I am going to add my favorite Himalayan salt. It said it's supposed to have up to 84 minerals and vitamins in this salt, and it looks pink. So I'm just going to salt and pepper it to taste. We are going to pepper in here. I think that's enough. You can always add add-ons, like if you wanted to just dice up some bacon and put it in here, or maybe a little pieces of fresh spinach for some pretty look. But we're making such a fancy outside, I'm not going to worry about putting anything more on the inside other than a little bit of cayenne pepper and that fresh nutmeg. It'll just give it that extra like gourmet taste. So I'm just going to put it in my 9-inch round pan, and then I'll show you what that looks like. We have our beautiful red pepper cut in half and cleaned. And we're just going to make a simple tulip. Take a little paring knife. There we go. See, you can make a simple tulip. I have to make this a little smaller, so I'll have to figure that out in a moment. But let me show you the flower bud that I made from our gorgeous onion. What I did was take it and cut it from the bottom, from the top to the bottom. So I cut it in half that way, and then I made a few extra slices. We'll come close here. Then what I did is I just kind of took my fingers, and it moves fairly easily. Now look at, doesn't that look like a flower blossom? All nice and fresh. We are going to garnish our souffle with this before we put it in the oven. The oven is now preheating at 375. And we're going to use our little asparagus that we cut in half, so they'll be very thin. We're going to use those as stalks. We're just going to be creative. So now the stars of the show for this recipe is going to be you and whoever is helping you in your lovely kitchen. we are going to be the stars of the show because we're going to use all this beautiful things. And I tried something new. I took a potato peeler and peeled thin pieces of the other half of this red pepper, because what I want to do is I want to try to create a rose and show you how to do that. It's my first time doing it, but we're going to be creative today and just do whatever we want to do. Oh, this actually turned out amazing. Let's take this, we're going to turn it around here, and we're going to bring it right to the table to cool. Wow, let me just straighten this a bit so you can see it. And I'm just going to close that oven and push back the rack. Well, you can just take a look at this. Wow, I'm actually impressed. Remember that tulip? Well, it was a little heavy, so some of it, part of it sank. And I did take some of the asparagus pieces that we had extra of and put underneath the onion because it was just a little heavy, because this souffle is so fluffy because we had the whites of the eggs whipped so nicely. But anyhow, look at this. I think we did really well today. And this roux is actually not too shabby for a first time. And we can do this together, and you can do all kinds of fun things. You can use orange peppers, yellow peppers, and do all kinds of fun, whatever type of beautiful herb, fresh herb that you'd like. We're just going to let this set up. It's going to have to cool for like probably about a half hour till it gets to about room temperature, or you can eat immediately. But I don't want it to deflate, so I'm just going to let it sit for a bit, and then we'll dig in. Enjoy. I hope you had fun with this creative recipe.